Hello and welcome to the Many Faces of Cancer podcast. I am your host, Melissa Grosbel, and joining me today is Vicki Mackie. And Vicki is the founder and executive director of Sights and Insights, an international 501c3 nonprofit. Sights and Insights provides free mindful therapeutics through art workshops, programs, and retreats for cancer patients, survivors, caregivers, and clinical caregivers. Vicki is a cancer survivor, caregiver, author, speaker, and entrepreneur. Her education and background include corporate business management, professional photographer, art, and cancer program development. Vicki has continued her education with certifications in healing arts, energy healing, palliative care, healing art, and various complementary therapies. Through research and innovation, she developed a copyrighted curriculum proven to help heal the emotional trauma that comes with a cancer diagnosis. Her innovative method, she calls the SAI method, was published in the March 2023 Association of Community Cancer Centers Oncology Issues Journal. That's a mouthful. Yes. Sights and Insights and their method have received several awards, including Sertoma Local, Regional, and National Service to Mankind Awards, the Colorado Cancer Coalition Outstanding Innovative Project Award, and the Aurora Chamber of Commerce Women Who Make a Difference Award. Welcome to the show, Vicki.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course, I'm so excited to dive in, and I love this bio, and I always appreciate when people send me something to read so I don't have to make it up on the fly. And there's just so much in here, and I cannot wait to dive in.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we are going to talk all about Sights and Insights today and all about therapeutic art and the SAI method. But let's get started with your cancer diagnosis. So how long ago were you diagnosed? What was going on in your life when this diagnosis happened?
That's how it all started.
Yeah, that's generally how it does.
Actually, I was in the corporate world. That was my main career for many, many years. And then I got to the point where I said, I think I can kind of semi-retire, and while I'm semi-retired, I can go back to, because I always had a side business of photography and also art, and so I was always dabbling in that. So I thought, now I could just do the photography that I want, and the weddings and all those kinds of things, and the art that I want to do. That was my plan. Then life hit.
And God had other plans.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And so I semi-retired, and I had just gotten going on that. And then actually Hurricane Katrina hit, and I was tied financially with that. And as a result of that, I virtually lost everything monetarily.
Were you living in New Orleans?
No, I was living here in Colorado.
Okay.
And I still do have my house. Thank you. But it kind of ruined those plans that I had made about, I can semi-retire now.
Right.
So you can, yeah. And the next thing I know is, I don't know why, but I just keep getting sick. And the next thing I know, the reason why is, Vicki, is because you have metastatic breast cancer, stage 3. So on top of all of that, I was dealing with all of the surgeries and chemos, and everybody knows what that's all about. So I was dealing with all of that and with the financial problems. And I finally got to a point where, we thought we had made it. And the oncologist said, "Hey, Vicki, let's just do one more PET scan just to make sure that we've got everything, but I'm sure we do." Well, some people are wrong. And the next thing I knew, she came back and she said, "I'm sorry, but it is metastasized now in both of your lungs." So I went off to the lung oncologist, And my first visit with him, he had on the side of his desk this form that was all filled out for me. And then he said, "Can we have your body for research?" Now, which kind of gave me my first clue of what my prognosis was.
He was putting you in the grave at your first meeting?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, but here's the thing. That was actually 17 years ago.
Wow.
17 years ago.
He was wrong.
Yes, yes. And so I want everybody to hear that and listen to that. Listen to what's here, not what everybody else tells you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next thing I knew, coincidentally, I had to go back to work. And then I found myself working in a field that I have never been in before, and that's the health field. And I found myself as their program coordinator at a local cancer clinic. And I started talking to I'd go to the waiting rooms and I'd talk to the patients and I'd say, what would you like to see as far as programs? What would help you? And, they would give me their feedback and whatever. And then as the conversation went on, eventually they would find out that I'm a cancer survivor myself. Well, I noticed immediately that when that happened, the language changed.
Mm.
And they started telling me things that they weren't telling their team, their medical team. And I would ask them, why don't you tell them this? This is very important. Oh, no. They don't care about that. That's just, what's happening here. They want to know about my blood work and, all the scans and all of that. They don't care about this kind of stuff. And I thought, well, with my background in healing energy and healing arts, I thought, no, I don't think that's quite right. And
But
then,
it's true in many ways, though. It may not be right, but it is true.
yep. Mm-hmm. And
Unfortunately.
yeah, it is. It is. And so I took that and then I started wondering. I've been out for, at that time, several years or a year or two, whatever. I thought, well, I wasn't supposed to survive this. I wonder why I did. And I just kept thinking about it and I couldn't get it off my mind. And then I thought, well, maybe it's because what I did when I was going through the surgeries and treatments and all of those kinds of things, I fell back into my art. And I wondered if that had anything to do with it. So I'm a Googler and I'm on there Googling and trying to figure out, well, what would that be? And every time I pull it up, because at that time, way back when, the only thing that would come up was art therapy, which is not what we do. We don't treat or diagnose. But
Now, can I ask you a question real quick? So, do you have a background in art, like in a previous life, or was this kind of something that you had just been dabbling with as a side gig from your corporate
well,
job?
yeah, I mean, I did have some training growing up with art, and my mother was quite an artist, so
Okay.
yeah, so it was. And I remember she's kind of laughing at me now because I kept saying, she kept trying to lead me into that. And I'm going, oh no, Mom, I can't do that. I can't do that. And the next thing, so here you go. Life is funny, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yes. And I did, but when I started doing it, I realized that people actually started paying me for my art pieces and paying me to do, take pictures of them. And I'm going, okay. All
Maybe
right, if
there's
you
something
really
to
want to
this
do
after
that.
all. Okay,
So
so
that's
you were Googling and you just kept coming up with art therapy.
yes.
So
And
where did you go
I
from
knew
there?
that that wasn't it. It didn't feel right. And finally, it took about a year and a half. And I finally found some classes out in California. And I thought, you know what? That kind of sounds a little bit like what I need or what I think. And so I took some time off from work and I went back to school. And from that, I learned a whole lot more about art. And I came back and I went to the director of the clinic and I said, you know, I've got this idea. I want to put this workshop together and um, and see how it works for our patients because we need another program anyway. And he said, oh, sure, just as long as I don't have to pay you. And I said, okay,
Now,
you've
did
got
they
to.
have any kind of art programs at the hospital when you were
Oh, no,
there? Okay.
not at that time. That
Okay.
was not,
So
no.
you were a pioneer in this whole area, because I know a lot of places have art therapy and other kinds of programs for that for cancer patients now.
Yes, they do now. There's more and more of that now. There actually is. Um, but I started, I told him, I said, okay, just give me a room and some bottled water and I'll take it from there. And he said, okay. And I'll do it after work. And so I did that. But word got around, and every time I would put up a flyer that I was having another workshop or something like that, we had months waiting lists to get into this. And I was also from the actually the very, very first time that I did this, I started collecting data through surveys and through evaluations. Somehow in the back of my head, I thought, I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was kind of like one of those things like, that thought would come into mind, go, well, okay, I'll do that, you know, with no real intention of doing anything with it. It was just
Well,
one of those things that, oh, I think maybe I should do that. I don't know why, but I will. Okay.
and then getting feedback from the people that you do it with to find out if it's working
That's
or not. And that's how things
because
grow, right?
because I didn't know if this was working or whatever. Um, so the data started coming back, and to be quite honest, I was shocked at the surveys and the evaluations and how they said, oh, this has helped me emotionally, mentally, and I think also physically, all of these things. And I thought, oh, wow. So I took all the data to the director and I said, you know what? I think maybe we should do this more because look at this. And so that's when he said, no,
No?
no. And he said on top of that, and he said, Vicki, just make sure you're only doing this for our patients.
Mm.
Well, about 3 months later, he had my letter of resignation on his desk because I knew in my heart that I couldn't do that. I knew in my heart that I had accidentally bumped into something that really works and is helping people. And I wasn't going to pigeonhole it. And I was going to let everybody have a stab at it to see if it worked for them. So I started the 501c3 nonprofit, and and I will tell you also that that was also one of those things where I came from the corporate world. Nonprofits to me were like, oh, that's a different animal. That's alien to me. I don't understand nonprofits. It's corporate world. It's the, capitalism
It's the
and all of
for profit world.
it's the for-profit world. And that's where I came from. And so I really fought it. And I started knocking on doors with my for-profit idea. Every door slammed on my face.
Mm.
Every single place that I went. And I thought, well, this is not right. So, okay, all right, I'll try a nonprofit. And that's how I all got started as a nonprofit. And then all of a sudden, all the doors started opening. So that is how Sights and Insights was born. And if it weren't for the cancer that I had, Sights and Insights would not be here because I never would have done that.
And and so many of my guests, it's it's the same story in a different way.
Hmm.
Like they, cancer brings about, whether it's a need that you did not find, a solution for, so you created your own, or just the experience in itself, like, hey, now I want to do this for others, kind of thing, that cancer sucks, and I'm never going to say that it doesn't.
Yeah.
And there are so many positives that can come from it for yourself and for other people.
It's the dreaded C word
Yeah.
that everybody does not want to hear.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I tell people who are kind of the newbies to this and who come to our classes or our workshops or retreats or whatever, I tell them that just wait, give this some time, let some time go by, and start noticing how you change. And then the world around you will change once you change. And and it's true every single time. And they're, and often, and I mix, there will be new people, newly diagnosed people. There will be people in the class who are 20, 30 years out. And there's always a mixture. And I never put them together. They go online, they register, and it's a first come, first serve.
Okay.
And that's just the way that it works. And so I have found over the years that I've been doing this that always the right people come together at the right time. And inevitably, if we are, talking to a new person who's been diagnosed, and it does come up because it's not something that I intentionally set out unless something comes up about it. And we start talking about, yes, it will happen. The people who have been around for a while with cancer, they will all hum in with their own stories and say, absolutely, absolutely. You are going to find all kinds of new things in your life that you never knew existed before.
I like to say that cancer is the worst club with the best members.
Yes.
And that it's the club that you never want to join, but once you're in it, like you are just, everybody rallies around everybody else. And it's like a sisterhood or brotherhood or, just depending, and something that I never would have expected before my own experience as well. And it's the thing, like you said, that it's almost like only somebody who has gone through it will understand what other people are going through. And people just, when I was first diagnosed and I started sharing, like people came out of the woodwork telling me their own stories, which was, how this podcast got started in the first place. But if I was a chiropractor for 20 years and nobody ever talked to me about cancer. And I knew that people were going through it, but other than like from a professional standpoint, until I experienced it myself. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants to talk to you about it.
Oh, yes, exactly. Now, the first thing I'll say is that I believe in empathy rather than sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does make a difference. And in fact, all of the facilitators that I certified through Sights and Insights, that's one of the first requirements. They have to be a survivor who understands either that or a caregiver who has, been through it. Okay. So I believe in empathy rather than sympathy. And also on the other point, you were talking about the club, the Sights and Insights, what we call us is we're the family. We're the Sights and Insights family. And we are together in this, and we're there for one another. And we hold each other in arms, whether they're virtually or what, but we're all in this together.
So on that empathy and sympathy piece, so do you feel that people cannot be empathetic until they have experienced it themselves?
I think that they can. I think that that's rare though.
Okay.
It's just the same thing like I was talking about earlier about talking to the cancer patients who were in the waiting room.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they found out that I was a cancer survivor, honestly, their body language, their language changed because they felt safe, because they knew that they didn't have to explain anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we all go through, whether it's for a moment, whether it's for a year, that, oh my God, am I going to die?
Yes.
that every person, when they get that diagnosis, it's
Yes.
like, that's the first thing that comes into their minds.
Mm.
Either that or why me, but that am
Yeah.
I going to die is always a piece of it. And if you have not had those, 3 words said to you,
Yeah.
there, that you just don't understand that feeling.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
I will give that caveat to that, in that chronic illness, um, they can oftentimes relate in the same way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And empathy.
So did you personally, when you were diagnosed, when you were going through treatment, did you find healing, emotional or whatever, through art? Is that kind of where this all, like, where even the thought came into your head, or was it just something from your background that you thought would be good for other people?
No, it just kind of came into my head,
Okay.
and then, of course, my I I would say passionate, but I was just absolutely consumed once I got back, and then I started researching everything that I possibly could. So I will, and to start off with, everything, insights and insights is all researched and evidence based. Everything, everything from the color that we use, and I talk a lot about energy, and because energy is everywhere, energy's in this cup, energy's in this mouse or this chair, whatever. Energy is everywhere in the universe. Pardon me. So we talk about that and how that relates to color and how it works in your body. Underneath, because what we do is, a lot of people think that, well, it's an art class, and it isn't at all. Not even close. We don't do art, and we don't do art therapy. It's kind of in between, okay? And so people often think that when they come, that they're going to learn how to draw a house or a horse or something. And I always tell them, if you came here looking for that, I can do some stick figures for you. And and they're only mediocre. So this is not what you might have expected, because everything we do, first of all, is all abstract. And it isn't just, I tell people, I actually use art as my front, because behind that is a lot of complementary therapies that we integrate into that. And there's the science behind it and how that's used in the paintings. There is, it's actually, and I didn't find this out until later, after I put it all together and I was researching something, and something came up about psychoneuroimmunology, and I started looking into it, and I'm going, oh, that's what I do. So, psychoneuroimmunology is actually the study of your endocrine system, your general nervous system, and your immune system, and how that all works together, and how that works with you physically in your body.
And your psyche and your brain as
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, and that's another thing that I talk a lot about, because also I've studied a lot of heart math. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
A little bit.
Yeah. And so that's integrated in there as well. And what I like to say is that people talk about, the mind, brain, and body or whatever, but I say it's the heart, it's the mind, it's the brain, it's the body, and it's the spirit as well. So there's a lot more to it. And how that all works and how it all integrates with each other is just absolutely fascinating to me. I can.
Well, we're gonna get into that, but I do want to share really quick for those who are watching it. So you and I met. You came and did a little presentation at our breast cancer support group, and we went through a little thing. And I will show you what I drew, because you said I don't know how to draw. I can't even draw a stick figure, but this was kind of an abstract of what I ended up with from our little class, which is totally abstract and a bunch of squiggles, but it was fascinating. And I love it, and we'll talk more about it. But for me, I'm not really that into art because I feel like I have no talent, and that's my own stuff. But I love jigsaw puzzles, and that's how I do my healing and do my mindfulness. Is I just get focused on working on a jigsaw puzzle, and it takes away all of the stuff that's brewing around in my head and helps just to empty it out. So I feel like just the little bit that we did that you demonstrated for us, it was a very similar thing. Get you out of your head and just into your body
Yes.
and lets you just kind of heal. Am I right a
Exactly.
little bit?
Oh, you're right, a whole bunch.
Okay.
And in fact, what you just showed is what I created, and I call it the scribbly doodle with a purpose.
Scribbly doodle with a purpose.
Yes.
Love that. All right. So talk to us a little bit about, you said that you created this SAI method.
Hmm.
And so talk to us a little bit about what that is, and from an evidentiary or, research standpoint, what the benefits are to people who go through this method.
Okay. The research has been out there actually for thousands of years. It really has. And it's just a matter of putting it together. And that's kind of what I went out. And the more I looked, the more I researched, the more I found. And then I started putting it all together. And like I said earlier, I use art as a front. But behind that, I integrate things like, if it's in person, aromatherapy, um, and music therapy, and all of that, and using the hertz, the frequencies of the music. That's
Mhm.
actually a part of it, um, and um, and actually, laughing yoga. We do that as well.
Do you do goat yoga also?
No, I haven't done that yet.
I don't know about little animals walking on my back. That's just not my thing, but people
I,
love it.
I know. I really want to try it though. To me, it kind of sounds kind of good.
Yeah.
So I've got to try that. But laughing yoga, let's see. Oh, expressive writing. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Um, just all different kinds of complementary therapies are kind of built in behind it. And then I integrate even the five senses and how that all works again with your heart and your mind and your brain and your body, and how that all works with the five senses. As an example, we mostly we do work with acrylics and canvas, and I have written over 200 prompts, guided prompts, that I lead people and express so that they can express their emotions,
Mm.
so that they can get those emotions out and put it on their canvas. And oftentimes they're shocked by what they see that they didn't know. It's not unusual that they look at that and they go, I thought I had forgotten all about that trauma. Because behind that is a lot of trauma that research has shown that I'm going off. But anyway, the method that I've put together, there's another part of that too, is what I call stuffing and unstuffing. So we all have the tendency to kind of stuff down things, especially the negative thoughts. And when we do that, and they have found that even to the point they can find out which emotion that they have stuffed down. Okay, this is my words. Which one is worse for your immune system? And
Mm.
and the same thing on the positive end, which one is the best? So now this has been a couple of years ago, and I found that they were saying that it was anger was the worst. Well, I just recently found some new data and graphs on the hertz and frequencies of this. And now they're saying it's shame and guilt that is the worst. So, but it's still the same at the top. It's still love.
Isn't shame, yeah, like is that the like 0 to 100, and all of the emotions and things are kind of on that list of
Mhm.
vibrational frequencies, and
Yes,
yeah, and I
exactly.
thought the shame was at the bottom.
Yep.
Yes, okay.
And I think guilt is the second one now,
Yeah.
after shame.
Because
So I was,
anger, honestly, and I mean, I grew up in a household where anger was not okay. So I have a lot of stuffed anger that I've worked on through the years. But, through my therapy and counseling and stuff, anger is actually not that it's a positive emotion, but it's a good emotion
Mhm.
to express and get out of you,
Uh-huh.
because it leads to change, and it can be
Yes.
very beneficial if you're allowed to express it, whereas shame and guilt are things that
hmm
there's no real positive to either one of those.
and I agree with that now too. I really do. Shame and guilt um, is, in my opinion, it should be down at the
Mhm.
bottom of the list. It
Right.
really should be.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I recently found that one. Yeah, that really makes sense to me. But I will lead them through these guided prompts, and they will express their feelings and their emotions that they're feeling with what I'm saying, and they'll put it on their canvas, just whatever it is that they feel, okay? With the
Scribbly
equipment.
doodle with a purpose.
Yeah, only,
Or
yeah,
scribbly painting with a purpose.
yes, exactly, exactly. And um, then they look at that, and oftentimes, and then we help them release it, okay? And then we put positive back in, positive
Mm.
emotions back in to replace that. And for some people, that's all they needed. And for some people, nope, I need to come back and do this again, which is fine. We have return people all of the time because everyone is different. Everybody's in a different place. And so they can come whenever they need it, whenever they need it.
And then do you have different types of classes? So do you have, I mean, you said like you have painting classes, like what different kind, and then I guess you have classes, workshops, retreats, like a whole bunch of different offerings for people as well.
Yes. Some of the, well, a couple of the, I have in the summertime, it's two of them. The plein air, which is French for painting outdoors, and it's called plein air. So we call it the plein air classes. And those are usually just a 2 hour class, and, just singularly. And then also, now I lost it. Hmm. Okay, I'll get back to it. Yeah. Um, It'll come to me in just a minute. But we have a couple of 2 hour classes that people can sign up for. And oh, by the way, everything is free.
Wow.
We deliver the all of the material that they're going to need, if they're doing it virtually, or ship it out, because we're all over the place.
So
And
these classes are virtual as well. Are they in person also? Do you have an
mhm,
option as well? Okay. And
yep,
if people sign up for a virtual class, you will send them the materials to do the class as well.
mhm,
And it's all free.
it's all free.
Wow.
And they'll get the materials for 4 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, so it's and they're usually pretty surprised at how much they are receiving. So
Wow.
yeah.
Right. And then you also do retreats,
hmm
right? Can you talk a little bit about your retreats?
yeah. um, well, let's see. We've been doing a like, you come in on Thursday, you leave on Sunday, and it's in Beulah, Colorado. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Well, it's kind of south and east of, no, west. west of Pueblo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of in the mountains there. And the lodge that we stay at is so super wonderful. We're the only people there. And
Mm.
yeah, so we get taken care of very well.
Now,
Very
all
well.
your retreats are there?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
so far.
Okay.
And so we've been having a couple of those in the springtime and usually around September when everything is changing and everything like that. And then now, starting next month, I'm starting 2 new retreats called Contemplating Nature, because I was doing some classes on that and also integrating that into the retreats because, there's a lot of research out there on what they call forest bathing. Have you heard of that?
Hmm.
Yeah.
But
And
you can explain it because I'm sure other people don't
yeah.
know what that is.
Okay. Forest bathing is actually, I can't remember the name of it in Japanese, but that's where it came from Japan. And it's actually going out into the forest with a lot of trees. And there is actually chemicals, and I'm going to say the chemical wrong, that comes out of every single tree. And it starts with a P. Um, uh, Phenomenon. Okay. And this chemical that it emits is actually so good for you, and it calms you down. Now, also, besides that, being out in nature in and of itself has proven to calm you down,
Hmm.
um, take away the anxiety, helps with depression even, and also because again it all works together, it helps your body heal. Helps your body heal. So we do that, and of course there are projects that we do. Um, this the last one that we did down in Beulah is we had people make mandalas out of
Mm.
things that they found,
Oh, wow.
you
Out in
know,
nature?
out of nature on the
Okay.
ground. They couldn't, pick a leaf or do anything off of a tree, but things that they would find, and they would build their own mandalas. It was just fascinating to see how people, put those together. And it was, and I, because again, we were doing some training for some of our facilitators. And so I was a participant and I did my mandala and I went, oh, and doing it, I felt so calm. And somebody took a picture of me and I hadn't really said too much about it. And somebody took a picture of me and she put it on, I don't know, our website or something. I can't remember now. And she was talking about that. And she said, the moment I saw that, the picture in of itself just calmed me down.
Mm.
You doing that. So also in one of the things in the research, it was in the early 1970s in a hospital back east. I think it was in Pittsburgh. They tried something. They took the TV away from the patient and they put a picture up of nature. And the results of that is that they found that their blood pressure went down. They used less pain medicine. They used, I can't remember one of it, but also they were released anywhere from a day to a day and a half earlier than anticipated. And that was in the 1970s.
Wow.
And it was just the picture that did that.
Imagine what it'd be like actually being out in it,
Exactly.
where you're getting all those chemicals and the oxygen and everything that comes with it.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And people just do. You can just see their shoulders drop and you can see how they start to relax and feel good. That's the best way I know how to explain it.
I
Feel
love
good.
that. All right. Well, Vicki, where can people find you? Where can people find sites and insights, get more information about your classes, about your workshops, about your retreats, all of that? And we'll put it all in the show notes as well. But where can people find you?
Um, just go to our website, which is And I'm going to spell this for you because it's different.
Okay.
It's Sites and Insights, and it's SITES, and spell out and Insights is INSIGHTS.org.
.org. Okay.
Yeah. And then if you up at the top, if you click on calendar, it'll if you come down, it will start listing all of the events that are coming up or classes or whatever. And right there, you just press register, takes you over to a page, you fill it out, and then we get notified, and we'll get you in the first one that we can.
So, guys, take advantage of this. It's free, it's so healing. And like I said, you talked for a half an hour and we scribble doodled, and it was absolutely amazing. So, I'm looking forward. I want to take some of your classes because I
Good.
just had such a great time with what we did in that half an hour. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, wait till you try 2 hours of it. It's just,
exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
it
Or
was
3 days. I mean, come on.
so much fun. It really is. And at the same time, it is so healing.
Yeah.
It's healing and it's fun. There's the camaraderie, with our family. Um, and it's just remarkable. People walk away from there and say that, I feel like I'm floating out of here. I've heard things like that. And then I get emails and call, I just the other day, I have to say this. Just the other day, I got a phone call in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, from one of our participants, and she had been through um, a full workshop, and she had signed up for the next one, and had gone through just about half of that. And she said, "I needed to tell you this, and you're the first person that I called. I just got my test results back in the scans. I'm NED now." And she was stage 3 breast cancer.
Yay.
I know. And on top of that, she said, "I wanted to tell you because I truly believe that this is because of prayer and Sights and Insights."
Mm.
I started to cry.
And that makes it all worthwhile, right?
That's why I do what I do.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Vicki, for joining me today
Oh,
and this great conversation. And sightsandinsights.org gives you all the information about therapeutic art and the SAI method and all of her workshops and classes. So I really appreciate your time today, and
thank you.
have a great rest of your day. And we will definitely be in touch soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Melissa.
All
This was
right.
so much fun.
Yay. All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye bye.